We hear it all the time, adults saying, when I was a kid, if I got arrested, I'd fear my parents more than the police. Well, today that's not always the case anymore. Kids loitering, drinking, you have flash mobs because of social media, and lots more. Gloucester Township has had enough. At last summer's town festival, more than 500 kids got into a brawl. Now, if your kid gets into trouble with the cops now, well, you may end up paying the price. To talk more about it is NewsNation correspondent Rich McHugh. Rich, good morning. Tell us about what's going on here in Gloucester Township. If the kids act up, now the parents are going to go to jail?
Hey, good morning, Ken. Yeah, that's essentially the message. They're saying, keep your kids under control or face the consequences. I mean, that's the general message. Two parents from the Gloucester Town Council, they have a new law effective immediately. Any parent who essentially fails to stop their kid from breaking the law could face a fine of up to $2,000 and essentially jail time of up to 90 days. And obviously, this has people divided. Some parents are outraged. This is setting a dangerous precedent and is a perfect example of government overreach. But it's all because of that festival that you mentioned last year, which they've now canceled because they couldn't find another way to have it without the risk of being overrun by teens. Last year there was like 500 that arrived at this thing and had a brawl, and it took 100 cops over an hour to calm the situation. The mayor came out and said, ultimately, look, we have a juvenile crisis in this country. It's not unique to Gloucester Township, but it's a larger, it's a symptom of a larger societal issue, juvenile crisis across the country. But so this is one possible solution, he said, is to hold parents accountable for their children. And this law that they passed, it's called Minors and Parent Responsibility. It says that parents will be held accountable for public disturbances caused by their child. Buried in there, it says they could go to jail. I've talked to one woman who's her name, Alex Bauer from Moms for Liberty, which is a parents' rights group in New Jersey and elsewhere. And she says, look, this is crazy. This is definitely government overreach. They should not be dealing with, they should not be, policing parents. This is the wrong approach. But I talked to the mayor briefly, and he said, look, this is targeted specifically at a specific group of people. It's parents with kids under 18. If they break the law once, they will be given a warning. If they break the law a second time, then it will be up to the judge. But ultimately, this is targeting repeat offenders in the juvenile penal system. So I said, do you have any feedback yet? How it's going? And he said, no, it just started. I think it just went into effect about 10 days ago.
Yeah, and Rich, I remember as a kid, I'm 58 now, but I remember, I honestly, not to pat myself on the back, I've never had a run-in with the police. And I have one older brother, and I remember the 4th of July when he was about 17. I remember my dad telling him, don't go down to Edgewood Park. There was this park where we lived. Don't go down to Edgewood Park because a bunch of hoodlums there. That's what my dad said. Sure enough, my brother went with his friends to Edgewood Park, and sure enough, police showed up, and my brother got put aside by police, but the cop knew my dad. Not back, it was a small town. Cop called my dad. My dad punished my brother more than the police could have ever done. But that was the era when parents revered the police more, than anything else. So if you are causing trouble with the police and your parents found out, you were in worse trouble. Like, you would beg the cop, don't tell my parents, please. Today,
Right.
You have parents fighting the police, saying, how dare you arrest my son? Okay, well, your son was part of a 500 group flash mob that caused a riot. What do you want us to do? I mean, the cop is doing their job, So you can understand, I guess, the pressure, but I also understand the idea of big brother and overreach. So it's a real fine line they have to walk there. So now, ultimately, what is the maximum consequence for some parents if the kid continues to break the law? What can a judge ultimately sentence a parent to if they just keep ignoring what's going on with their kids?
I believe it's a $2,000 fine and up to 90 days behind bars. So that's the maximum. And again, the mayor stressed that this will be up to a judge who will weigh all the factors. But I talked to some parents. I said, what's going on here? Parents who are very dialed into New Jersey politics, and they're saying, look, and I forgive me, I don't know I haven't done the research on this, but they said several years ago, New Jersey basically passed laws which took out the teeth of policing youth. And so now they can't. And so now the onus is on each individual city and township to do it. And so that's the genesis of this Gloucester Township doing this. Like, especially when they had this big flash mob, it's like, what else do they do? So on the one hand, I can see the argument of the parents, like, this is government overreach. On the other hand, I can see how a township like Gloucester is like facing a situation, and they don't have any policing teeth to enforce situations with these kids. So I don't know. It's a tough one. It's certainly a debate. I have my own views on this because I have four young daughters, and I actually do live in New Jersey. But I'm sure they're gonna have outcry over this as this goes forward.
Sure. And Rich, it comes down to if you think back to when a lot of this happened a few years ago when you had the whole defund the police movement. uh the laws were just defanged entirely. We threw out the baby with the bathwater in communities all over the country. Look what happened in Washington D.C. So adults know that, hey, we could take 17-year-olds who are basically adults, arm them with weapons, and let them go carjacking. And if they get caught, they'll get a JD, they'll get a slap on the wrist. It won't be a permanent record. So you got these 17-year-olds, 16 and 17-year-olds roaming Washington, D.C., sticking people up at gunpoint, knowing that absolutely no consequences would come of it. This became a rash of events. And so this is happening not just here, but everywhere in the country. It's going to be interesting to see if other municipalities wake up and do something about it. But nonetheless, it's good to see at least something was done, an effort was made. Maybe this isn't the right thing, but we'll see what happens. And if this works in Gloucester, I'm wondering if we see it happening everywhere. News Nation correspondent Rich McHugh, I appreciate you every time you come on. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for getting up so early because I know you work late with News Nation. Thank you again, Rich, for coming on today.
Anytime, Ken. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
You bet, always.